Anyway, before we even get to
every day on set with those must have just been a nightmare for him. Like all the fucking bright lights. Like what the hell?
So before we even get to the third Burton Batman movie, we got to talk about the Catwoman spin-off that never came to be. So after the success of Batman Returns and Michelle Pfeiffer's portrayal as Selina Kyle, WB wanted a movie.
Yep.
Burton became attached as a director, while producer Denis D. Novi and writer Daniel, I could be completely misspelling that, and it's probably Denise. I'm sorry. Roll with me here. Daniel Waters also returned, and in January 1994, Tim Burton was unsure of his plans to direct Catwoman or an adaptation of The Fall of the House of Usher. So he's already like, I don't know, man. I kind of want to do this weird Edgar Allan Poe movie instead of doing this fucking cash grab. So on June 6th, 1995, Daniel Waters turned in his Catwoman script to Warner Brothers the same day as Batman Forever was released. Burton was still being courted to direct, but Waters joked, quote, turning it in the day Batman Forever opened may not have been my best logistical move, in that it's the celebration of the fun for the whole family Batman. Catwoman is definitely not a fun for the whole family script.
Yeah.
And in August 1995, Michelle Pfeiffer was interviewed, and she reiterated her interest in the spinoff, but explained her priorities would be challenged as a mother and commitments to other projects. So the film toiled around in development hell for years.
And then it became the Halle Berry shit show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the
She won an Oscar like the year before that, folks. No shit.
Just goes to show.
She also picked up her own Razzie.
She did.
Yep. So
I gotta respect.
Classy. Dude, she still is such a smoke show, too, man. She's got to be like 50.
She's older than that.
She's still such a smoke show.
No, she looks great.
Great.
So let's talk about...
Fantastic.
Let's talk to the actual Tim Burton planned third Batman film. It's titled Batman Continues. Because that's lame. The first planned follow-up to Tim Burton's Batman was Batman Continues, and this was Burton's original vision for the third Batman movie. Batman Continues would have Keaton back as the Caped Crusader, and would have continued with Michelle Pfeiffer and Billy D. Williams reprising their Catwoman and Harvey Dent roles.
Yes, Two-Face.
By having all these characters and their actors back, Batman Continues would have brought together all three films. Of course, there was also talks of Robin Williams being in it, by the way. I fucked up my notes here.
As who?
Anyway,
the Riddler?
I'm going to... It was talking. Sorry, I was thinking of Robin Williams, but it was Billy D. Williams. I see where I made my mistake, because Robin Williams plays a part in the story later. So anyway, all of them would be back, and they would have served as a proper sequel to Batman Returns. But it just when it didn't come together, it also was worth pointing out that Batman Forever does keep a lot of plot points from this movie. So maybe it wasn't as good as we thought. So Keaton was also pushing to make it an origin story. Michael Keaton was very adamant of being like, let's do something unique and take the third movie and take time to develop who Batman is in this movie, which makes sense because those first two Burton movies don't really touch on early Bruce Wayne. It just straight drops you in as, oh, Batman's here, he exists, he's a part of the world. That's it. There's no... Yeah, they keep doing the parents getting shot shit, but it's not like... I was in my house and there a bat broke through the window and I became a Le Batman. I don't know why I said it like that.
Le Batman.
Le Batman.
I was having wine and cheese.
So originally, Robin was intended to appear in Batman for Tim Burton, and there are even storyboards dedicated to the origin sequence that sets the death of his parents in the circus, just as it ended up being used in Batman Forever. So Robin was also going...
I just watched that last week.
Yeah, so Robin was originally going to be mentioned in the first Batman and then show up in Batman Continues.
Okay.
And, of course, he was going to be Marlon Wayans.
Yes, he still gets checks.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome, dude. I want, at some point in my life, I want to be like that, where I get a residual check every year for a fuck-up.
Yeah.
Like, who is the guy at the Mets? Bobby Bonilla?
Oh, yeah.
Every year they still have to pay him
it's Bobby Bonilla
million.
Day. Or
yeah.
something.
Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to have something like that.
Somebody fucks the system. Fuck them.
Yeah, because he signed a contract that guaranteed him whatever, and even if they didn't use his stuff, which they didn't.
So you mentioned Marlon Wayans getting residuals. He does, because Marlon Wayans was cast to play Robin in Batman Returns, but again, Burton decided to leave him out because there were too many characters involved already. And the director did intend to bring him back in Batman 3, but then he left, and Joel Schumacher recast the character with Chris O'Donnell. Recast the character that had never appeared on screen.
Yeah.
Wayans might have been disappointed, but he still got paid despite not shooting a minute of Batman footage, and still gets paid to this day.
Yeah, that's insane, dude.
Yeah. So
that's awesome too.
Also, Tim Burton revealed in commentary for the original Batman he wanted to use Billy D. Williams not only as Harvey Dent, but as he had been in the first movie, but also as Two-Face. So he always planned on Billy D. being, which would have been fucking cool, dude. Billy D. Williams as Two-Face, that's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I would watch that fucking movie.
Yeah.
He intended for the character to return in the third Batman movie after sitting out the second, but there were plans to have him in the Max Shrek role of early drafts of Batman Returns. So he was going to be in that too. In that draft, Catwoman would have electrocuted Dent and set him to turn into Two-Face in Batman Continues. Unfortunately, when the film changed hands, Williams was cut out and replaced by Tommy Lee Jones, also because Warner Brothers were little bitches and they couldn't handle the idea of having a white character be a black man in their movies.
Also,
I mean, you could say they didn't,
also,
but they definitely did.
I just watched the movie, and Tommy Lee, I know you can't sanction any of Jim Carrey's buffoonery, but have you seen how you performed in that?
That's why, I think.
Because you suck too, man.
Well, dude, in the 90s, Tommy Lee was doing a lot of weird fucking roles like that. Tommy Lee Jones was chewing scenery and everything, and I think that's why he hated Jim Carrey so much, because he's like, hey, you're doing my shtick. But anyway. Next.
Fucking babies.
That's only one, baby. We got more, and they get weirder as we go along. So here is the next canceled Batman movie. It was called Batman Unchained, or also known as Batman Triumphant. During the filming of Batman, this is after Batman and Robin. During the filming of Batman and Robin,
after Batman and Robin?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Warner Brothers was impressed with the dailies. This prompted them to see, so they didn't see the finished project. So they were like
this is why production companies should not be in charge of movies, or movie studios should not be in charge of movies.
Yeah, why would you look at,
because they're fucking stupid.
A completely unfinished product.
I really like it.
And be like, all right, make a sequel.
You know what I really like about it? I really like it.
Oh, you mean you haven't edited together anything? It's just daily footage. It doesn't matter. Good enough for me.
It looks like toys. It looks like a whole lot of toy merchandise money for me.
Well, they've said multiple times that movie only exists to sell toys.
No
Batman and Robin?
No.
So anyway,
Don't believe
they were so impressed by those dailies, they prompted them to immediately hire Joel Schumacher to return as director for the fifth film. But writer Akiva Goldsman, who worked on Batman Forever and Batman and Robin with Schumacher, turned down the chance to write the script.
Thanks.
In late 1996, Warner Brothers and Schumacher hired Mark Prozodovich, I believe, to write the script for the fifth Batman film. Mm-hmm. The project was a mid-1990 release, and it was announced it was titled Batman Unchained. Prozodovich's script had the Scarecrow as the main villain.
Okay.
And would bring back the franchise in a more serious and darker direction, unlike the previous two films.
Sure.
Which I don't really know if that would work, considering... No. It's hard to get a director to go from Batman Forever and Batman and Robin to
you gotta go
Batman Unchained.
You had to reboot it like Nolan did.
Listen to this script because it's fucking bonkers.
This sounds great.
The script dealt with Batman learning to conquer fear and confront the demons of his past.
Okay.
The Joker this is what's great because this is used later in a different thing. So the Joker would return as a hallucination in Batman's mind caused by the Scarecrow's fear toxin, along with Penguin, Catwoman, Two-Face, and the Riddler all together to judge the hero on trial. So the Joker showing up as a hallucination because of Scarecrow's fear toxin is actually a plot point that is used in the video game Batman Arkham Knight. There's a point in that game when you get hit with a bunch of fear toxin, and so the rest of the game, while you're doing things, Joker keeps showing up on screen as a hallucination to like taunt you throughout the game.
That's kind of cool.
And so it's hilarious that was originally planned in a movie like this, and then you see it in a video game that's done it much better.
So what else happens in this shit show?
So Harley Quinn also appears as Toymaker, written as the Joker's daughter, trying to get revenge on Batman for the Joker's death. Then Crane discovers Batman's identity and forms an alliance with Harley to lead him to madness and lock him in Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
I like the idea of Harley Quinn being
neat.
Joker's daughter.
Sure.
It's a twist. Oh, Jesus. It's a twist. It's just jammed the mic in my mouth. It's a twist.
Oh!
Fucking M. Night Shyamalan.
It's a twit.
Ass.
It's a twit.
It's a twit. So in the script, Robin abandons Batman for disagreements, but he returns during the final battle to help his mentor. After defeating his enemies and his demons, Bruce makes a trip to Bali and enters a cave full of bats, with them flying around him as proof for having conquered his fears.
Oh, my God.
George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell were set to reprise their roles of Batman and Robin, respectively, and Schumacher was offered the part of Scarecrow to Nick Cage, which would have been fucking awesome. I'm not going to pretend it wouldn't. That would have been great. 90s Cage as Scarecrow? Are you fucking joking, man? Make that movie yesterday.
Although, let's be honest, though. Clooney was probably the
You're going to love this. Guess who was cast? Who was going to be cast for Harley? Just guess.
Okay,
keep in mind, it's 99, around that time.
It's not Kim Basinger. I don't know.
I'll give you a hint. It's a musician.
Sheryl Crow.
Courtney Love. After the failure of the box office and negative reception for Batman and Robin, this was thrown out.
I'm glad.
Look of terror on your face.
Fucking.
I've never seen. It was like I looked into the darkness and the darkness was looking back at me like that. All right, you ready to hear about another Batman movie?
Sure.
All right, let's talk about Batman Dark Knight. But here's the thing. Dark Knight is spelled Darknight. It's fucking edgy. Lee Shapiro and Steve, hopefully no relation to Ben, Lee Shapiro and Stephen Wise drafted the script, and the project was being shepherded by WB executive Greg Silverman without input from Joel Schumacher, who had been exiled from the franchise at this point. So this is a new take. No Schumacher. Bruce Wayne is in self-imposed inclusion from life because he feels that he lost his greatest weapons in the fight against crime, his mystique and his enemy's fear. Dick Grayson attends Gotham University, trying to discover who he is apart from his guardian and unwilling to return as Robin without him. Meanwhile, Dr. Jonathan Crane, so we're still bringing in Scarecrow here, uses his position as a professor of psychology at Gotham University and as a resident psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum to conduct his experiments in fear. Now, I like that. I like the Gotham University idea. I think that's cool. Yeah. And I also like the idea that they're going to be like, okay, so Dick's going to try it, which... To me, he this sounds like
Dick Grayson and somehow gets out of him that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Well, I also think this is
kind of cool.
This is kind of a cool idea of like them leading towards Dick being Nightwing, which is what I would have liked, because he seems like he doesn't want to be Robin anymore. He's trying to get out of his shadow. Why wouldn't you just progressively just be like Nightwing? Anyway, so during a vengeful conversation, oh man, you're gonna love this because you think it's Scarecrow, buddy. You're fucking wrong. So, Crane is talking shit at Arkham Asylum, conducting experiments. So during his vengeful confrontation with a colleague, Dr. Kirk Langstrom, oh yeah, buddy, Jonathan Crane unknowingly initiates Kirk's transition into the creature known as Man-Bat.
Oh, so hard right now.
Honestly, dude, if Scarecrow and Man-Bat are a villain in a dark, creepy Batman movie, I'm into it.
Dude, my brother and I, when we were younger kids, they used to attach records of audio with comic books. And one of the comic books that we got was a Batman comic book that featured Man-Bat.
Yeah.
And it was the creepiest shit. When I was a little kid, it scared... Man-Bat scared the shit out of me.
Another. I can't believe I'm, again, attaching this to Arkham Knight. Because, again, get used to it. Arkham Revisited on our feed. You'll hear all my thoughts about the Batman Arkham games. Yeah. But anyway, there is a side mission in Arkham Knight where you have to cure Man-Bat. Ugh. And I've played through Arkham Knight. I played through the first part like a couple times. I'm getting ready to do it again for the Arkham Revisited series. But every time I play it, it's triggered at a certain point. I can't remember after which story mission, but after you finish one of the main story missions, it happens. It's a triggered event. I go my grapple hook to go up on a building, and then out another like that, and fucking Man-Bat is on the ledge, and it's the scariest fucking shit I've ever seen. Because if you've seen what a bat looks like,
will you do the scream again?
That's not what it sounds like, but that's what my head sounds like.
That's gotta be a drop, dude.
Bubble Bat. I'm a man bat. I don't know why it's Joe Walsh, but
You know what though? We're gonna write a 70s glam rock song called "I'm a Man Bat."
well, I want it to sound like fucking Rocky Mountain Way or something like that. Like
No,
Joe Walsh.
I want Black Sabbath.
No,
style.
like Foghat.
T-Rex.
Black Sabbath. He's a man bat.
Wow.
Where are we? Oh, yeah. So the unsuspecting Denzians of Gotham scream for Batman's head, believing that Man-Bat's nightly hunts, whatever you want to say, is the Dark Knight's bloodthirsty return to action.
Whatever.
Bruce dons the cape and cowl once more to clear his name and solve the mystery behind these attacks.
Wow. You know what? I like that pitch. Keep going. What is it?
So Dick eventually ends up in Arkham Asylum under Crane's unsympathetic watch, and Kirk struggles with it. My mic stand just went out.
I didn't know what happened. I was just like, you read something that you wrote that you didn't.
My mic keeps fucking me today. So Kirk struggles with his man versus monster. So Crane just says fuck it as Kirk Langstrom fights with his man versus monster syndrome, and longs as both to reunite with his wife and get revenge on Crane. And at the end of the script, Batman gives you're gonna love this. At the end of the script, Batman gives Commissioner Gordon a red cell phone, letting him know that he's back on duty. And as Batman cape flutters in the wind, a crow flies by him and lands on the window of Tech's clothing shop. The silhouette of a man with a top hat can be seen. So the ending of this was going to tease Mad Hatter after all this. Are you all right?
God. How many fucking villains do we have to keep just dragging through? You know, that's what I didn't like about Batman Returns is that they started the whole shoehorning two villain. Yeah, well, I mean, two villains into and then
Shrek
now
and
it's like
Penguin
three and shit sometimes. But anyway, no, I
honestly, some of these don't sound that bad. Like some
elements of them are neat.
Yeah, like I love the idea of Scarecrow and Man-Bat being in the same movie.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, and here's excuse me.
Dude, what's going on? Gotta get comfortable.
I gotta get comfortable over here. I was reading this article about how the TV like we don't have a rogues gallery of Batman's rogues gallery like we do today without the 60s TV show. And it's interesting to me because like by the time the show came out in the 60s, like Catwoman hadn't been around in like 10 years. Mr. Freeze wasn't a guy, he was a Mr. Zero who showed up once and never did again. And like
the animated series rewrote a lot of these origins too.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, it's just funny to me. Like they're talking about like the Mad Hatter and stuff. I'm like, you know, before the '60s TV show, it was like he really just.
Well, and dude,
he really just fucked around with Robin.
Mad Hatter
captured robbers, like random robbers and shit.
Mad Hatter is such a fucking C-list villain, let alone C-list.
You know
he's a C-list Batman villain.
You're gonna go there? Give me fucking Gentleman Ghost shit
or the Clue Master. Because DC has a Clue Master and a Riddler. Why?
And a trickster.
So we have one more movie to talk about, and you're gonna find this very interesting. Darren Arnosky's Batman Year One. And it only
this is fucking literally batshit insane is where they got the phrase was.
Honestly, it would completely deconstruct the character, and I kind of like it. But
this is good.
It only shares the name. It has nothing to do with Batman Year One, the
Pretty
Frank
much
Miller book.
Not at all. Yeah.
So in it, Bruce Wayne wasn't an orphan billionaire raised by family's butler Alfred at Wayne Manor. Instead, he lost all of his fortune following the death of his parents and was left homeless. Bruce was then taken by a man named Big Al, the African-American owner of an auto repair and former Vietnam War combat medic. So already we're completely flipping it.
Oh, yeah, dude. Aronofsky was like, at the end of this script, I'm going to call it Batman no matter what I come up with, is what he was saying while he was writing.
Yeah, and I'm over here like,
yeah.
You do your thing, man.
But this is really, actually, it's interesting. Is the best thing I can say. About
so
it.
Arnosky says his inspirations of the film were Death Wish and The French Connection. Okay, and even compared his version of Bruce Wayne Batman with Taxi Driver's Travis Bickle, saying he wanted to infuse the story with a dose of reality, and what better than taking away all of his fortune and growing up in the streets of Gotham City, where he truly got a taste of what the citizens were going through. Now that aspect of the story
sounds a lot like
sense.
Matt Reeves, what he's going for.
Yeah, and it also kind of sounds like when in Batman Begins, when he is living he's living in the slums of that city before he meets Ra's al Ghul. So like there's kind of those elements in Batman Begins and other stuff.
Sure.
So yeah.
But yeah, that's about as far as we get.
Yeah, so in Arnosky's version,
just takes it left.
However, it happened a little differently than you would think. So given that Bruce Wayne lost his fortune, he wouldn't have the resources to go on a trip like what he did to learn martial arts in Batman Begins,
right.
And instead learned through various books. He read a lot of various types of combat and practiced until he mastered all those moves.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally the
montage.
Dude, the fucking the 2014 TMNT reboot, that was the plot. Was Splinter finds a book and teaches them from reading the book. So they stole it from this. So in Arnosky's version,
terrible.
So it's just amazing.
No, it's basically Karate Kid before he meets Mr. Miyagi, dude.
And then he becomes Batman.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, he earned the name Batman under very different circumstances. Although Bruce also learned a lot about chemistry through books and created a number of chemical-based weapons, one of his most significant objects was a ring with his father's initials, TW.
Okay.
So when he punched criminals, the ring left an imprint similar to the shape of a bat, and so the media began calling the mysterious vigilante Batman. Why are you overthinking this, Arnosky?
No shit, dude. Just fucking...
It's a man in a bat suit. It's a fucking comic book movie. God damn it!
Old creepy dude who somehow has Jennifer Lawrence as your girlfriend. So, just be happy with that.
Jeez.
Not at the time.
It feels like a low blow. Don't talk about Tyler's Batman. The Batcave was also the headquarters.
Aronofsky seems like one of those Roman Polanski types who is just weird and creepy, and some people have taken it as he's an auteur. And it kind of makes me sick a little bit.
In addition to that, wrong part. The Batcave was also the headquarters of Batman and is located beneath his personal residence in Wayne Manor. Aronofsky's version would have changed this element from Batman's world by locating it in an abandoned subway station. As for the Batmobile...
A lot like Matt Reeves' vision.
Yeah. And as for the Batmobile, and given that Bruce grew up in a repair shop, it would have been a tricked-out Lincoln Continental with blacked-out windows and bus engines under the hood. Very far from the usual made-from-scratch Batmobile. There's some elements that I think are interesting.
I think some of them are showing up in this new one.
You know what, Tyler? This would make... Yeah, because he's a gearhead in the Matt Reeves one, and it's pretty much. I love that the Batmobile is just a muscle car. Like I love that.
I'm actually cool with that.
I do think there are some elements of this.
You want to know why I'm cool with it? Because I saw that fucking rubbery shit show that was the Batmobile in fucking Batman Forever. Fucking gross. That big giant fin.
And honestly, the little bit that we saw of Batflex was cool. I like that. I like the sleek design of it.
I'm not gonna say that the whole kind of transition from a Batmobile into the Nolan, which was basically like
the tumbler into the bike.
Yeah, like basically the Batmobile for a couple of movies into Snyder even was a big kind of militarized vehicle.
It's like a tank.
Which was I was cool with that too.
Yeah.
But I also like the idea of going back to basics. Less is more.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think that's what I think so interesting about this Batman movie, because Reeves is making a completely different approach to Batman, and we haven't seen something like that in a while. We haven't seen this a new approach on Batman since, I mean, you could say 2016, but I feel like what I'm talking about is like a full-on reinventing of the character. We haven't seen that since Batman Begins.
Not really, no. I mean, if you want to say it, it's not the same Batman, but Affleck continued a lot of the
I don't even
things that Nolan set up.
Well,
in his version,
I don't even consider Batfleck to to count personally because he didn't have a solo movie. I'm talking about like a solo.
I count
Batman.
Batfleck because he was fucking great.
No, he was. But what I'm saying in like,
sure, I get you.
He didn't have a movie to kind of define his Batman.
But he was the most intimidating. You gotta be
because he's a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see how he approaches this, and because it feels like he's pulling different elements from contemporary Batman stories, and I really like that because he's using the idea that Andy Serkis's Alfred is actually a badass. Like he taught him how to fight, which is like okay, so that's something they pulled from current comics. Like Jeff Johns' Batman has Alfred teach him how to fight, and then like what we were talking about, some of the it looks like some of the elements from Arnosky are creeping into this, and some of that stuff.
Nobody ever that I can remember was sitting around going, you know who should be like a total badass in like secret? Alfred Pennyworth.
Let's make a whole show about him.
Oh my god! And it's like I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't fucking give a fuck.
I'm excited. I'm also, you know what I'm really excited about is Colin Farrell's Penguin. I want to see what he could do with that character.
I honestly
also Zoe Kravitz is gonna fucking kill it. She kills it and everything.
I've read a lot of good stuff about her interpretation. I've read that a lot of this movie is character driven. Good. I'm cool with that.
Reeves himself said it's a villain story. Like it's a villain's origin story, and he's not gonna.
It does not look like or sound like Colin Farrell at all. So good on you already, man.
And man, that fucking score is so good. That main theme. Ugh. I love that. What Matt Reeves said is he wanted it more like Kurt Cobain, Bruce Wayne. So, which I did not mean for that to rhyme. But
Kurt Cobain,
I like that.
Bruce Wayne.
But and Pattinson said even his Batman voice is going to be different. He said he goes like everybody wants to do this gravelly one. I did something more of like a whisper, of like more of a something that's like just and what I've seen of him, and I've been doing my dude. They've been dropping too many fucking clips for this movie. I've been just avoiding everything. After I watched that last trailer, I'm like, I don't need to see any more. I'm gonna see this movie. I'm done. I don't need to see any more. I don't want any more fucking clips or trailers. But what I have seen, he has more like a deeper whisper tone, which is a different interpretation. Because you and I have talked about this. I want to see different interpretations of Batman.
Sure.
I want to see, because that's what comic books are about. Is like. Batman has so many different origin books.
Yeah.
The only uniting force is his parents are shot. That's the only thing that people are like, okay, that is the jumping off point. From there, tell however Batman story you want to tell.
Yeah. Except for Darren era fucking Arnosky, apparently.
Yeah. Anyway. So that is a weird episode. Almost hour and a half. Talked about Bacon Fest. Talked about books. Talked about Batman.
I talked about titties at the beginning.